Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Ginette Biro Podcast. I'm Ginette Biro, and thank you so much for joining me on the show. As always, I am so very grateful for each and every one of you who, you tune in and we dive into some cool topics and interviews. And today is a really interesting one, and I had to get Spirit to explain it a little bit more, and then they made it really simple. So I'm going to share it with you guys. And the idea is that we all have a very important role to play right now on the planet. And when they brought that up, I'm like, yeah, okay, we each have our own individual role and it's important for whatever. And I'm not making small of that, but I just mean that those are things I've talked about before, but they were very specific in this one, that we really need to recognize that our voice matters with spirit. So we talk a lot about our voice mattering in what we say within the world, within people around us, speaking up, all this stuff. But Spirit was saying our voice matters in how we reflect on and describe our experiences on planet right now to those in spirit. And so when they explained that, I was like, oh, I'm really interested. Tell me more. And they said that right now, the human perspective is really important, almost as, if we were all journalists to the spirit world, bringing through information of what it's really like on the ground right now in the various ways, whether it be talking about the war, talking about the political environments, talking about gender roles, talking about inequality in workplace, there's so many things we can talk about. But the spirit world is saying so this is the spirit world, we sit from the perspective of above. Now, that's just for visual, right? Like they're not actually sitting above, but it's like they see it from that perspective and they're not on the ground per se, like we are embodied. So that perspective is different. And they reminded me how when I had my near-death experience, my perspective on the other side in spirit was very different. I was still entirely me, but I didn't have the weight, the burden, or the baggage of the human experience or consciousness at that time. It was very different. It was very light. It was very objective. It was very all loving and all understanding. Whereas when I came back into my body and continued on life, I could really notice the difference between those two perspectives. When embodied as a human, as we all are right now, there is a weight to it. And that weight comes from the emotional experiences we have on this planet, which are much more intense, much more diverse than what we have on the other side. And that is the key piece that Spirit is like, share your perspectives. So our emotional experience, our on the ground experience, is as valuable to the other side as is those from, reporters, correspondents that give on the ground intel of what's going on in a certain place or situation. So the spirit world is saying your voice matters, each and every one of us, because it gives them a greater understanding of what really is going on within the human condition, not just from the perspective they are viewing it from. Because again, when you watch those movies and in the movie there's, you're watching the characters move through their thing, move through the story, and you see it by what you observe and what they say. But in the movies where the character stops and the scene stops and the character looks at you and starts expressing their thoughts, like, what I really want to ask this person right now is, how do they feel about this? Because I realize this. And then you get a deeper insight into that character's journey, because they stopped for a moment to tell you, the viewer, what they're actually really feeling versus you just observing what you think based on their actions. That's kind of how Spirit compared it. And I thought that was really interesting. And that's why each and every one of our voices matters, because we are bringing them intel, information from being embodied from our various perspectives, right? From every level of education, awareness, experience, inexperience, questioning. When we directly speak to Spirit, that really helps them gain better understanding. It's a sharing of stories, because what this does is this helps the universe to better respond, because the universe is always responding to our actions, our intent, our desires, our will. And when we are very, very precise with what we are telling them, they can be more precise in how they answer. Now, sure, there's some things on the planet that are really obvious, right? It's an obvious answer, but it's like anyone who is trying to help make decisions for a greater collective, anyone who sits in that position of power, they want to gain the most amount of intel that they can. They want the most amount of perspectives, ideas, concepts available to them so that they can make the best decisions possible. So they want to look from all angles of ideas. And that's sort of what the spirit world is saying right now. They're like, help us even more, help the universal energy. And when I say us, sometimes we get limited to thinking that they are a singular being or entity or something, but it's energy. But if we consider speaking to that energy the way we would to somebody in a position of power, we can realize the role that we play. And so your story, your perspective really matters. And this is something that I teach in my classes often is we often think we are simply here to respond to what spirit or the universe has to say. You know, spirit speaks to us and we receive it. We forget that we have equal partnership, equal co-collaboration into what we experience, just like we would any other relationship in our lives. And so spirit wants that as well. They are saying, please do share your opinions. Do share your thoughts specifically to the universe or your guides or your angels or whoever it is you communicate with. Be specific. It is okay to say to them like, hey guys, I need to talk to you. And I need to talk to you because I'm really concerned about this, or I am really happy about this and we should do more of this. Or I would like to know how to facilitate more of this. Can you give me some guidance? When we remember that we can have these full-on conversations, it may feel one-sided, but trust me, they're listening. You are in a better position of co-creating stuff because what you're doing is not only are you setting your intent and your desires, but you're clearly speaking it to the universe so that they can better bring in events or things or alignments. And there's often jokes about like, being very specific with what you're saying to the universe, because you could ask the universe for, I want more money in my life. Universe, I want more money. And so you find $5 on the ground. Well, the universe answered, you got $5 more. You weren't specific enough. You have to be specific to your why, to what you're observing, to what you really need. Universe, I need $5,000 to buy this equipment for something I want to do, yada, 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 right? So your specificity based on your perspective matters not only for your singular journey of say, I need more money, but also the collective journey on the planet. And oftentimes we look at situations such as the war or say the pandemic or many other things, and we think, what can I possibly do from my perspective or my position here? I'm just little old me in my house, running my kids back and forth, whatever your thought is. But the universe is saying, if nothing else, because we all do so much more on the planet than we realize, but if nothing else, remember your take, your perspective on earthly human life while embodied, you relaying that to the universe is important. It is so important. It matters, it is heard, and it helps them better know how to provide those metaphorical $5 bills or $5,000 windfalls, right? How to co-create this life on earth. Because co-creation isn't just simply our side of co-creation, but the universe is actively responding in co-creation also, 2 parts. So I thought this was really neat how they brought it through, the value of this play-by-play from the human perspective, because it really took, again, that experience I had with my NDE and explained how much more our voice matters even to spirit. And I love that. And I found that really inspiring. So I really wanted to share that with you guys, because here's the thing. In connection to sharing our voice, we are also tapping into many different timelines of opportunities for how things can play out. Many different. It's hard for our human brains to conceptualize how that works. We want to see it drawn in a line or in a graph, or how do I quantify what the many different opportunities or timelines looks like? And it's hard because it's not necessarily just linear. But we have in every moment the opportunity to shift the directions of things based on free will. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes there are some significant destiny points that we can maybe shift. And some of those destiny points may be world collective destiny points versus your own singular one. So there's times when that maneuverability is more limited, but within that, there are many opportunities to help shift and shape the way things go. And so again, to repeat myself, your intel matters. The universe wants to know your heart, wants to know your experience. Now, how do you do that? Well, you can do it in the most simplest ways. You can have a great conversation with spirit while you're washing dishes or having a shower. You can, there's times where I've had wonderful conversations with spirit while I'm driving, and I literally talk to them out loud, because by doing so, I feel like I'm really being heard. It doesn't have to be out loud, but it can be in your head. You can also do this, though, in meditation. You can go deep into meditation and connect with a guide, connect to a family member or loved one, or just throw it out to the universe. Your thoughts, your concerns, the things that are going well, your perspective as well. You can do this in writing too. And they've been showing me over and over, which is why I'm bringing it up. The value of getting things out in writing for many people is huge. When we express something through writing, it is also heard. So they're saying it's not limited to simply your voice in speaking or thoughts, but even getting it out on paper. You could have a journal, say, or a section on or file on your computer that is dedicated to your whatever you're wanting to share with the universe, right? Your research, your contribution, right? Everything in that will be received because it is being taken from inside of you and made real in 3D reality. So whether we do that through sound, through intent, or through words on a paper, it is heard. So they're saying really explore the way that works for you, how you can do that, how you can embody more of that, because the more you do, the stronger your frequency gets and kind of the louder your voice gets in the universal consciousness. It's really quite cool. Every time that we see the value of what we're doing, we increase the frequency of resonance. It's like I said, louder and louder, to the point that you're one of many in the room with a megaphone expressing your thoughts and concerns, and it is truly being heard. So the other thing they're saying too, they're quite chatty, is they're saying this will also help you feel in those moments when you feel like there's nothing you can do and you're stuck and you're just here for this ride that you maybe don't even want to be on. They're saying this can also help you feel like you are doing something, like you are part of something more, and it actually exhausts an energy of angst. It helps rid it from your being so that you can kind of settle a little bit more. So I think that's really quite beautiful. It's really embodying the growth and the wisdom you can in every situation that's happening, and recognizing that what you do in that not only matters for you individually, but really does matter right now for the collective. So be that intel person, be that hands, feet on the ground person, be willing to share your perspective, even if it comes off harsh. The beautiful thing about the spirit world is they will receive us in our fullness without judgment. So if you're feeling like you're starting to express to the universe how you're feeling and you're getting angry and you're getting loud, be angry and loud. At the end, give them gratitude for receiving you in your authentic self in the moment. But if you have to be angry and loud, be angry. If you have to be sad and cry, be sad and cry. If you want to go in like a business executive and lay it out really clear cut, do that. Do the way that it expresses it, because you are doing a bigger thing for the universal consciousness than maybe you realize by sharing your voice. And each and every one of us matters. Our voice matters. Our frequency matters. So I hope that helps inspire you guys to really connect into the universe. Realize that it is there and listening. There are many levels of beings that are working in this, many dimensional levels as well. There is so much desire and support to have humanity grow and ascend through this really challenging time. Again, we're in 4 years of rapid growth and ascension, and we are right smack in the middle right now. So it is really hard, a tight squeeze, but there are many realms, many dimensions, and many beings, guides of light, of higher consciousness, helping to focus intent and energy on Earth and humanity right now. We are quite a focus right now. So the more we can give them the intel from on the ground, the better. So I'll leave that with you guys. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your week. May your communications be beautiful, expressive, bold, and heartfelt. And just know the universe hears you every time, every single time. We never have our voices fall on deaf ears when it comes to the universe. So have a beautiful week, you guys. If you want to deep dive more into expanding consciousness, check out avalonspirit.com. And also, if you are new to my page or whichever platform you're listening to, please do subscribe, share, and lastly, check out Avalon Spirit Facebook group. I'm on there every day. It's a great place to communicate with me. I will see you guys next week.